What's going on, everybody, and welcome back. So in this video we're going to be working on the truck, and we're working on the turbo truck project. I still have to figure out what to call this big orange thing here. I'm not really entirely sure what I want to call it, but I do know that our first mod here is going to be our electric fan conversion. So I plan to get rid of this big clutch fan assembly, the whole shrouded system here. It's kind of just a big nuisance, and it's all in the way. You can see how the piping has a tough time coming around that. And on my 2000 it was the same. Always hated this clutch fan setup. Wanted to do the electric fans, but it's even easier on anything that's 03 to 04. With HP tuners, we'll try to command this thing on, and once we get it to, once I verify that it's going to turn the fans on and they're going to come online, then I'll go ahead and drop the fans in and do all that sort of wiring as well. So yeah, big plans for it, but hopefully I can get that done this weekend, and it shouldn't be too crazy of a build. I kind of have everything I need now, so I'm going to get started on it tonight with doing this stuff. So first step, take apart the fuse block here. So this is pretty much everything you're going to need. I kind of simplified the setup here, took some of the loom off at the junkyard, but I just got this box from the junkyard out of 05 to 07, I think. 07 Classic probably has this too. I'm not sure if it would be a direct swap from the newer trucks. I didn't really look into it, but I know that from 05 and up for a few years there, all the way up to 07 Classic most likely, they have these boxes that are right next to the fuse box, and it should just be a drop-in fit right over here. After you get this cover off, there's a couple of areas you got to pull here to get the clips off. I did find a mouse nest inside here, which I didn't know I had mice, but I guess I do have some little friends here. But it should just drop in here. I don't know if I got to move some of these connectors out of my way, but it should just sit right in here. And then there's like a little side part to the fuse box. Like I said, I'll just cut mine so I can access these little relays there if I ever need to. I might just leave it otherwise, but if I need to access them, I'll cut myself a thing, and I'll make a power wire probably over to this guy's where it goes from factory. So I'm going to see if I can get the loom to reach all the way over here. If I can't, then I'll just try to send it somewhere else, or I'll extend it to go to here, which will be nice. And then the ground, I think I'm going to do down low on the frame rail there. I'm going to see if I can get it nice and locally grounded, or I might just run it up to the alternator, but I want to try to keep stuff out of the way here. I don't want too many wires going on up in here, but yeah, we'll just try to clean it up as we go here. I got some light bar stuff that I kind of want to clean out. Not going to be needing that for much longer, since the intercooler is going to be up in there once we do that. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and bust this off and see if we can make something for that. That looks like, yeah, it is power. It's just black wire, but it is power, so it comes right off the battery. So we're going to try to tap into that. Don't mind this little stuff here. That's just so that I can have all my lights on at the same time. They call it the high 8 mod. If you guys are interested, look into that. A little bit sketchy, I guess, with all the wires jammed inside of the relays, but it works for me. I haven't had a problem. There's a little diode there too to make sure that it doesn't backfeed the other way, but it's pretty cool. It just sends the lights to trigger all the other lights on when you have some on, so it keeps them all on at the same time. Anyway, yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and try to install that and run the wires down here. But basically I got a fan as well, and this fan is actually from a newer style vehicle. It's from it's like 07 to I think 13, or whenever they stopped making the Avalanche, they had these fans, which are part of the new body style fans, and these are said to be better flowing. And I haven't actually counted yet. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's a 7 and a 5 blade fan, which I think that means that this has the upgraded fan setup. I think there might have been one that was a 7 and a 9 blade fan. I'm not really sure on that. I gotta look into that. Maybe some of you guys might know, but I think this may or may not be the upgraded fan. It's got a 5 and a 7. I thought the upgrade was a 7 versus a 9 or something like that, but it is what it is. I'm sure it'll work fine. I never had an overheating problem before, and this is supposed to be even more efficient and better at cooling. So we should be good with these, and I'm excited to hear how quiet they are and not like that big blower and all the room we're going to have. All in all, this is like a super fun mod to do. So I got the connectors with big pigtails on them. I went into the loom a little bit to make them extra long. I did test them both at the junkyard as well. I stripped these back, and I used my I watched some guy, he had a trick where he took his ratchet, or he took his impact wrench, took the battery out and jammed the terminals in the battery to actually power the fan up to test it, and they both worked. So that's pretty cool. I thought that was a really good idea, so I did that, and they both worked. So we got this box, and we got these two wires here that come out, and these are the wires here that are going to go right into the PCM. There's a lot of videos on this that are probably better than my video, but you know, if you guys are interested, this at least lets you know that this is an option, this electric fan conversion. Anything 03 to 04 is a direct swap. Other vehicles, there's a little bit more involved, but it is possible for like 99 to 02. So that stuff is possible too. So this 03 Avalanche should be a direct swap. I have a P59 PCM, so I should be able to turn it on right with HP tuners. So I'm going to go ahead and the next step, I guess, is to take apart the PCM, because we got to put those terminals in there. So I'm going to try to maybe route this guy and maybe make my connections here and add my fan connectors on and kind of get this loom all in place here. And I'll check back with you guys after I'm done with that and see how this stuff lays. And hopefully we don't make too big of a mess in there. I'm going to try to keep it neat. So I got a good bit done yesterday, last night. I went ahead and put this in over here. I pulled up my part of the fuse box here and threw this secondary little piece in. It's super secure. It slides down over this tab and it fits in over this section, and then the fuse block goes in over the top of it. So you got to pry it out, put it in, and then you put this back down over it, and everything goes in really good. It sits in there really nice. It's not going anywhere, just like factory. I did route my power wire over here. I made a lug, made sure it was crimped on there nice. I have a hydraulic crimper, so we have our own little lug on there, and then the ground I have to run over there. But I have all the wires run right here, so pretty sweet. I'm excited to get this thing set up. Seems like it's going to be pretty simple, especially with all this factory part stuff. So yeah, I think we're in the clear. All I got to do now is work on those pins in the PCM. So I think I'm going to do that. Maybe I will pull this shroud apart. I do think I will get it figured out. So I'm going to go ahead and try to pull the shroud off and give myself a little bit more room to do my wiring. And also I do want to test it as well. I did get some wiring stuff figured out. I think that here's a diagram that I have set up right here. So hopefully you guys can see it well enough. But basically on the fan side from the 09 and up trucks, these are the connectors that are actually coming off of the fan, because I got those off of the new style fan. I got the connectors. So this right here is fan left, fan right, and it shows the wire colors here, which are important to me because I need to know what is positive, what's negative on the fan. Not so much as how to wire it. I have all the schematics, but what I really needed to know is this right here on the wiring side. These wires mean ground and positive on yellow and gray, because what GM does basically is when you have the low speed relay on, it seems, looking at the schematic, it has both of the fans on at low speed by running them in series. So on that, running them in series is going to give you your low speed. So doing it that way makes sense to me, and that's why there's only a ground on one of them. And then if it wants to run the other fan on high, which I think is when the AC is on, it runs that other fan on high, which what that'll do is it'll ground the other relay, which will allow it to run that one on high. And then if it grounds both, then it will allow them both to run on high. So it's complicated. If you look at the schematics, it makes a lot more sense. But basically, I figured out which wire colors go to what. And that means on the wiring side, my black and light blue are going to be two wires that are going to be connected at the same spot here. So we got black coming from this side and light blue. And then we'll ground this guy somewhere close. And then we've got gray and yellow. And these guys are the ones that are going to the other fan. So these guys will go to the near fan on the left side of the engine here if you're facing the other way. And then these other two will go the other way to the other fan connector. And we should have everything working. I will test it first. I want to make sure we have the correct voltages coming off of these lines here in order to have everything working. So I do want to try to take those wires let me see, these guys right here, and ground them as the PCM would do. And if I can ground these wires as the PCM would do and get the fans to trigger and come on, then I think that that is proof enough that this setup works. So I think that's all we're going to need to do here. So I'm going to try to get it all set up, and then we can go ahead and do a little testing. So to test my theory, I have this all set up. I threw the jump box on, and if I turn the jump box on, you can see this fan powers up, and it is it's pretty strong. That fan absolutely cranks. So yeah, it is blowing towards us, which is what we want, which means it'll be drawing air across the radiator. So that's good. That's exactly what we're looking for. And we know this thing works like a champ. So on high, that thing's going to scream. So now I'm going to test the other one and make sure that my chart here is correct. And then we should be good to go. I'm sure that it's going to be correct because I used all the schematics off of, GM. It's nice to work for GM. I have access to all the schematics for just about anything that GM has schematics for, which is all you're really going to need. So it's just pretty nice to have that ability. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hook up these connections now, and we'll wire it up to that, and then we will start installing this thing and then get a test going on, and then I think we'll put in the PCM pins. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the shroud off now, which should be pretty fun. Alright, so I think I might have misspoke before, but pulling this thing apart, you want to be on your blue plug here from the PCM. I got the PCM out. He's over here on the bench. It's easiest to do it with it out, obviously, so I just pulled it right out because we got to get to both connectors anyway, one in each. So in this one right here with the blue connector, it is pin 42, and he's over here if you have it oriented this way. So I kind of already poked through the rubber stuff, and I have some new terminals that I got from work that were sitting, and basically they were just rotting on a shelf. So I got them. They're all taped up in here. So I'm going to unwrap this little tape here and get a couple of crimps going on with these crimpers on some nice wires of a decent length, and go ahead and see if I can insert them into the connector, get the PCM plugged back in and remounted, and then I'll go ahead and mount the fans in there, and we'll see if we can get some testing going on as far as all the connections and see if we can get the fans to power on, and then we should be good to go here. We got to get HP tuners fired up and write a tune to this thing. So these connectors are pretty easy. In order to get to pin 32, I think it is, 33, you got to take this guy off. So all you do is push in the white tabs on the inside here, and this guy should unclip, and then you hit this guy too on this side, and this thing comes off, and it allows you to slide them out. That's the safety. It holds all these little tabs down here, and if these tabs are held down, these pins can't slide out, or you can't slide new ones in, and or it makes them easier. Not sure, but you got to pull this back cover off, which I actually busted the last one. I don't know if I was too aggressive or what, but you really got to try to work at these things here because they get kind of stuck in there, and I was just prying on them with a screwdriver. May or may not be your best bet, but you really kind of try to get these out without breaking them. So I'm going to get another screwdriver and see what we can do to not break them, but they're pretty tough to get. So I already put the green pin, the green wire into this blue connector here, and so this green wire I ran down inside the loom. I got to get a little more electrical tape here, but I'm putting it inside of this loom here, and then it does run over here, so I have a bunch of extra wire, and I'm going to run that to basically this green right here, this little guy, and we will connect that, and that's going to be our low speed fan trigger, and that's going to command on the low speed here. So hopefully that will function as designed. And then over here we're going to get to the back side of this. Like I said, I'm going to pry on this stuff, see if I can get it to release for us. That one looks like it might have busted. There might be a better way to do this, but unfortunately I just slammed the GoPro down. Hopefully it's gonna survive that. Yeah, it seems like I'm breaking them on this side more so than the other connector. Maybe there's a way to work them or something, but
Seems like I'm having pretty bad luck. Oh, I kept one there, kept one intact. On the other one that I did, I kind of kept one hanging on for dear life, just because I could reassure that I could get it to snap back on, which I may try to do here. This guy doesn't seem like he wants to work himself out here. I think it's because the connectors are all corroded, so they have a tough time staying in place. So I'm gonna try to get the blue guy out of our way here. And so now this is our main focus here. And zip tie is holding us back. Okay, so now we can swing. Oh, okay, we broke it. I guess we may have to try to fit him in there and do a little bit of some zip ties or something. Maybe I'll get a new one of these at the junkyard. Unfortunately, we did bust all the clips, but that's just the nature of working with super old vehicles like this. You're gonna run into those kinds of problems, but it doesn't do too much there, thankfully. So we are looking at, okay, we needed to be, looks like I was wrong. 33 is on this side. I did use something to clean it up earlier. I had this guy. And 33 is our guy right here in between these two wires, unused. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the other side of this off. Looks like we jacked up one of our pins here. That's not good. Oops. Better get that back on. Alright, you gotta be careful when you take these off because you can mess up your pins very easily. I almost did. I was able to get it to line back up. But yeah, definitely be careful. You gotta be gentle. And it is on this side. So the first thing I did before is make sure we got enough slack here, get our radiator hose out of the way. And we got to get into pin number 33, and that is where our blue wire goes. Thirty-two, 33. Try to make sure that I poke through this rubber here. So I had a bit of a problem getting that other wire through. It was just too big. Even this green wire is way too big. I rather would overkill, even though it's only just a small ground switched wire, and I don't have to go any bigger than the factory did right here. So I ended up getting a wire that's more similar to the factory wire. It's a gray wire that'll go to the blue. That's all I had for color-wise in my scrap bin, but it should work just fine. It's much smaller. And what I ended up doing here was I have this tube of Honda Bond that's like almost bad basically. But I'm squeezing a little bit of this out right here, and I'm just taking like a small glob of that on the end of my screwdriver here, and then I'm just going to come in here and just, you know, glob it all in around this terminal. Make sure that no water gets in there, just because it's not really an OE connection, and I don't want my connections to have any issues, so you really can't hurt anything by just putting a little bit of this in here. And so I'm going to go ahead and seal both these connections up. I did it to the other one already. So once I have it worked all the way around here, I'll go ahead and put the connector back together and run this wire through the loom like I did with the other one, and then we should be good to go. So I've got everything hooked up, the truck's running, I got everything like crudely hooked together. I did just test the fans. I gave them a little test with the ground wire. I had a little wire, I jumpered it from these pins that I had here coming from the PCM, and I jumpered them to here. And so doing it on the green wire, it turns one of them on or both of them on low, I'm pretty sure. And then when I fire it on this this other gray wire here, it fires all the way up, both of them on high. So that's awesome. We should be good to go on these guys. And yeah, we just have to make sure that the tune's gonna command them on. So I did change the settings in the tune, and then I wrote it to the PCM. So I do wanna go take a look at the tune, make sure that it makes them come on, and then we will just verify that they come on when they're supposed to. Everything's all pretty much wired up. I got some loom on it. I just wanna finalize, do all my heat shrink and zip ties and make sure that everything is nice and tucked out of the way. And this install will be complete. So you guys can see how much more room we have here. It is awesome how much room there is. I just gotta wait for this thing to warm up and turn the fans on. So yeah, eventually we'll get there. It takes a little while to warm this thing up, but I'm just gonna keep an eye on this thing and let her warm up, and we'll see if these fans come on. So I've come to the realization that I'm waiting for something that is not gonna happen, because I'm waiting for these cooling fans to come on. The engine's at like 2 something. These hoses are warm, it's at like 199, but I don't think it's gonna get into the range where these things are gonna turn on. So that's my only thing. I just don't know if it's gonna command the fans on. I assume it'll be fine, because I can't see why it wouldn't work. But yeah, based on that, I guess I just got to ship it. I can show you guys that I can command the fans on personally with these wires here, and all you do is ground these wires individually and they turn the fans on. So I tried the one and it brought me over to the low speed, and then when I do the other one, it brings me high speed on this big guy. So when you do them both together, they should be on high together. And I haven't yet done that, but hopefully that all works too. I haven't done both at the same time, but you know, the only time it'll do that is if it's overheating, or if you have the AC on, and it also ends up coming up to temp for the other fan, and then I think it'll turn both fans on high. But it's only usually if you're overheating, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, otherwise it'll just probably have them both on low for the most part, which is good. And yeah, so this setup is pretty solid. It seems like it's working really good. And I just got to get the PCM to turn it on so I can feel confident that it's all going to work. But otherwise, it's all set up. I just got to finalize all the wiring, and I'm going to go through and do that now. I'll probably just go ahead and do that really quick and let this thing cool down. And then I was thinking about changing the settings to maybe bring them lower just for a sec to verify that the fans are going to come on with the PCM. I wish there was some way in HP tuners to command the fans on, and maybe there is. I'm gonna go look into that now, but I'm gonna kill it for now, and I'm gonna go ahead and finalize all the wires, and I'll show you guys maybe some stuff along the way. Basically, I'll charge my flashlight. So I got it to work, guys. I found it in HP tuners. I think I'm just an idiot, but I did find it. So I got the fans on low speed right now. That's working like a champ. And so if you go in here, this is where I found it. Controls and special functions in the scanner, which I thought I went in before, but there's a fan section. So right here I have fan 1 on and fan 1 off, and then that's release control. And so then I can command fan 1 on. If I command fan 2 on, they come on high, which you can really hear. This thing's cranking. So that is, this one right here is absolutely cranking, and this one's not flowing at all right here. It's just this one on high. So that is fan speed high. And then I'm guessing if I command this one on, I hope that I don't break anything. And they seem to go on low. They're both, I think then they're both on high. Yeah, this is both fans on high, which should only happen if we're overheating. I'm gonna watch the volt gauge here, and we're at 12.4, so we got a pretty good volt drop there. That's not ideal since we are supposed to be charging right now. So we'll command that off, and we're back up to charging voltage. That's a lot of drain on the alternator, so that definitely doesn't like that. We may need an alternator upgrade, but hopefully we never have to come to that. So we'll command this other one off as well. So now we have them both off. So if we throw the AC clutch on, it should throw the AC clutch on, but I do think that the AC clutch is low on Freon. So I think that that's why we may see him rapidly cycling, and that should also turn the fans on. But I don't know if that's working like that right now. But at least we know that we have the ability to turn the fans on with the PCM. We got that fan coming on now. When we turn them off. Yeah, definitely pulls a lot of current starting up. You can see my lights actually dim in the car, but it seems to work pretty good. So I'm happy, and as long as those settings are correct, it should come on at the correct time. So I think we're good to button this thing back up and put it all back together, and then we should be good to go.